Yeah, so I want to give people an idea too of just a couple things before. So when we dive into this actual report, I'm going to put all my I want to share all this stuff with everybody. So I'll put my blood work, my the report that you gave me, I'll put in the show notes for this show. But I just want to give people an example, like someone who's coming to this completely cold.
Mm-hmm.
If we can just walk them through what you're looking for. So like the genome, terms like SNPs, heterozygous, homozygous. Can you just kind of give us a little briefing before we begin?
Yeah, for sure. And I usually just avoid the hetero homozygous terms. And
okay.
Just for simplicity, I just basically tell people, look, in every cell in our body, we have 2 copies of DNA,
mm-hmm.
right? Except egg and sperm cells. Egg and sperm cells only have 1 copy. A lot of scientists don't even think about that. They don't realize that. But it's true, only 1 copy of DNA in the egg and sperm cell. And then, of course, when they fuse together, that's where you got your copy of DNA from your mother and the copy of DNA from your father.
Right.
And that's also where you get this idea in science about plus plus or plus minus or minus minus, because if you've got 2 copies of a gene, then you've got 2 options, right? So you can have a bad gene from your mother and a bad gene from your father, and that would be considered a plus plus. But maybe you only have a bad gene from one parent, but then you've got a good gene from the other parent. That would be considered a plus minus.
Okay.
Right. And then minus minus, of course, would be 2 good genes. And I would just, I ignore those, right? I'm not interested in your good genes. You have thousands of them. Everybody has thousands of awesome genes, and it's kind of pointless to spend hours and hours talking about the good genes. Now, it's a little bit arbitrary though, because, certain genes, like you might have a plus plus for fast twitch muscles, or you might have a plus plus for slow twitch muscles, and neither of those are bad.
Mm-hmm.
But they are important to know. Like, it's useful to know that information. So it's not always good versus bad, but I use those terms just to make it easier for people.
Sure.
So there's always that debate about what's bad,
Yeah.
So anyways, but in general, the plus pluses I'm looking at are to some degree bad, problematic, dysfunctional in our modern society. And so let's figure out ways to fix it.
Right. Well, and then you have the idea of epigenetics as well, too, because there's this idea like you're not doomed by these genetics, right?
Yeah, but it's super important to understand that the DNA is a blueprint. So like if you've got a blueprint that's going to, lead to a bad bathroom or something in a house, and you just keep using that blueprint to make new houses, you're always going to have a bad bathroom unless you do something on top of that to fix it.
Right. Okay.
So the blueprint, if it is problematic, it is going to be problematic, but the good news is you can fix it, right? Like the beta carotene example. It's like if you've got a problem converting carotene to retinol, you're always going to have that problem converting beta carotene to retinol, no matter how much exercise you do or other supplements. The main solution would be just to take the actual retinol supplement, so you can fix it. But it's almost like adding another bathroom onto the house or something like that. Like the blueprint's messed up. Let's just find a workaround. So it's not a perfect analogy, but definitely epigenetics are hugely important. I mean,
sure,
can't underestimate them because they'll turn genes on and off.
Yeah. But I guess a good example would be like, if you have bright blue eyes, we can't look at your genetics and be like, if you eat a bunch of beets, you'll have brown eyes now. It just doesn't work that way.
Exactly. There's definitely some genes that are hardwired, and we're not going to fix them. Thankfully, most of the differences, they're modified. You can modify them.
Mm-hmm.
These subtle changes with these different genes, you can actually do things to up or down regulate you can fix the issue essentially.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll get through it. I mean, and people will see that, I think, as we go through the genes.
Okay.
But like I said, the context matters, because if you're just looking at one gene, you always have to think, what about these other genes that might also play a role? And I actually have 5 different categories that I look at.
Mm-hmm.
The first one being the brain, the second one being diet, and then I look at detox and hormone genes and vitamin genes, like basically detox, vitamin, hormone, all those like kind of lumped together.
Mm-hmm.
That would be category 3. Category 4 would be the gym and training. And then finally, the category 5 would be sleep, your sleep genes. So those are the 5 categories we're looking at.
Awesome.
And the first chunk of genes I'm looking for are Alzheimer's risk genes.
Right.
And the interesting thing about those is even if oftentimes Alzheimer's is like the far extreme. It's like if you've gotten to the point where you've got Alzheimer's, you've done something wrong for a lot of years.
Yes.
So usually, in my opinion, you can prevent Alzheimer's if you start real early and doing the right thing in the right way. The problem is there's a lot of different Alzheimer's risks, right?